whatever situation I'm in, whoever I'm dealing with, what's the one thing that I'm focusing on? Goes with me all the time, regardless of my skills, my current level of talent, whatever it might be. The one thing that goes with someone is their frame of mind. Right? Regardless of all the situations, all the decisions, all the things I have to do, my frame of mind is always with me. All the stuff can change, but my frame of mind is always there. So we're trying to figure out if we can influence the frame of mind that someone has, they'll put themselves in the best position to make the recommendations, to make the judgments, to implement the plans, whatever it might be. So we're trying to deal with frame of mind. So the question then becomes, all right, how do we put them in a frame of mind where they'll continue to learn, to grow, to develop, to be able to perform at their best in those moments? That's going to require us, as you know, there are a lot of factors, right, that influence whether someone's going to perform at their best. So we have to think about the whole system. No one variable is going to do it all, right? So you've got to think about the whole system. And we're going to have to problem solve it. We don't know all the variables. We don't have all the answers. So we have to be in a position to engage in some creative thinking and some problem solving and put ourselves in the position to do our best thinking, to live up to our capabilities to help those that are following us perform at their best, right? So systemic, creative problem solving and best. So what does that take? So let's check in with you. Okay, what is the mindset like when we're functioning at our best regardless of the task? Right? So we have, so 1, 2, can we have these 2 tables, they're going to focus on one topic, and these 3 tables in the back focus on the other topic. Here's the question. So we'll do it in pairs. So pairs, but this side of the room, if you would please, I'd like you to think about, from your experience, what frame of mind are you in when you're performing at your best, regardless of whatever the task is? What frame of mind are you in when you're performing at your best? Okay? So in pairs, have a conversation for about a minute or so. This side of the room, we're going to ask you to think about what's the frame of mind you're in when you're performing at your worst. Might be a strong word. So maybe when you're not performing to the level you know you're capable of performing, you know, that situation, not that that ever happens, but think about it. All right, so what is the frame of mind you're in when that's what's going on? You're not living up to what you know you can do, what you believe you can do. So pair up, have a quick conversation. We're going to ask you to share out some of the things that are going on in your mind. So best case, worst case, go. Yeah, you can go into 3s if you've got odd numbers. So we go. Yeah. Okay, another 30 seconds. We'll do worst first, and then we'll do. No, you're right. Yeah. That's good. Okay, let me interrupt your conversations. Sorry to interrupt your conversations. Okay, let's, if we could, find out a little bit about what's going on in the frame of mind when we're functioning at our best and when it's not going as well as we might like it to. In fact, let's start with the worst case scenario. Just if you would share some of the qualities, what's going on when we're just not doing it to the level we know we can. What's going on?
Arrogance and aggressive.
Arrogance?
Yeah, stop listening, stop engaging.
Okay, so I stop engaging, I just kind of quit, abandon it. Nice, thank you. What else?
Like overwhelmed.
Feeling overwhelmed, like, oh my God, right? This is huge, right?
Do as little as possible to
Yeah.
step away.
Yeah, thank you. Feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, I got that one.
All right, and stepping away. What else?
Like linked to that, it's almost like distracted by your own thoughts.
Distracted by your own
So you've got
thoughts.
this thing that you need to get done, but you just keep getting these thoughts of out moments keep coming in, like just go away. Just need to
Yeah.
get this thing done. It's your own head that's talking to you rather than the email that's talking to you.
Absolutely. What kind of thoughts might pop into your head that are distractionary from what you're working on now? What kind of thoughts might pop in? Something else I could do that's a little easier, right? Yeah, a Kit Kat. I can open a Kit Kat, yeah, right? A little hungry, right? So whatever it might be, but stuff's coming in that
For me,
takes...
it's often a thought though that is like really important for a different project. You need to get this done because there's a deadline here.
Yeah.
But this, I've obviously primed myself by thinking about it the day before or the morning before.
Yep.
It's now the answer popping into my head for this other one.
For that
I'm
one.
like, but I need to do this one.
Yeah.
Because the deadline's coming.
Yeah.
That's a really bad
By the way, that's where in and out note-taking could be helped. Just make a note, right? And then park it, right? There you go. He's already doing it. That's your out hand and this is your in hand. Is that how it works? Okay. Right, so it's neat. Yep. So distractions from other things I'm working on. Great. What else? What else is going on?
Impatient.
So impatience. Yeah, want it done yesterday, not giving time as a result, but the impatience that I'm experiencing. Great. Others? What else?
An imbalance with
So-
my work and personal.
Okay, so there's an imbalance. I'm feeling an imbalance between the work and the personal, right? The life balance question can kick in, right? It's 9 o'clock at night, I'm still doing this, and my family and all that can kick in, right? Good.
Either not caring enough or caring too much.
So over or under caring, right? I can over care or under care, a little bit apathy. Nice. So over care and under care.
Not knowing the point of why we're doing it.
Yeah, why are we doing this? What's the what are we trying to accomplish, right? The reason why. Don't know what it is. All
But
right.
we also had in our group when you're feeling that you're not being listened to or disrespected. Or,
Okay, so not being listened to, feeling disrespected, right? Yep.
We say if similar to that, like two ends of the spectrum on a lot of things, whether it's overly stimulated by it or understimulated by
Yes.
it.
Yep.
We also talked about having values.
Having values.
Values cross. You start thinking with your heart
Yeah.
a lot more, and you get overexcited. Let's say.
Yeah.
Defensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So too much in either direction.
Yeah.
Right? Overexcited or underexcited. Right.
Physical makes a huge being up all night, eating too many Kit Kats.
Singular.
Defensive.
Right. The physical energy side, right? And all the research about sleep and sleep deprivation and the effect it's having on stress levels and human health and all that. You know that better than us. So yeah, absolutely. All the physical issues that come with that. Right. Okay. And there's probably I was going to say, there's probably a few more, but we might have been bounded. I was sensing bound. All right, let's turn the corner. Let's see what's on the best side. What's the frame of mind like when we're performing at our best, when things are going really well?
Time, space, be creative.
Time and space to be creative. That's we're experiencing that. Nice. What's that?
Confident.
So we're confident. So there's a confidence, being creative. So confidence, great. What else?
What are you confident in? Are you confident in context?
So the context, the expertise, the source of the confidence, right? So there's probably different sources of potential confidence. Feeling prepared is often, right? When I feel prepared, I tend to have a bit more confidence. Nice. What else? Feeling relaxed, right? Okay. Unrestricted. Relaxed, unrestricted. Nice. Anything else?
What you're doing has meaning or is meaningful to you.
Yeah. There's meaning, there's purpose, all that. Yeah. And to me,
Yeah.
all right?
Matching your values.
Values match, right? Doing things consistent with what I believe is important. Nice.
You're in the zone, nothing's distracting you.
Right? In the zone, time slows down a little bit, all that kind of cool characteristic stuff, right? All right, cool. All right, so thank you. And there's probably a few more as well. All right, thank you for that. What do you notice about our lists? What do you notice about the list? There's a lot more on that one. Interesting. You'll say more groups, but yeah, there's a lot more. What's the energy like over here? What's the energy like? What's it like? What is it? What's it like?
I say it's very British energy.
Is it British energy? I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Just in terms of, I don't know, when I do a lot of work in this type of area, it's almost a microcosm of our country, that we go to the worst straight away
Yeah.
and think of that, and we're more comfortable in that area as well,
Interesting.
rather than that area.
Okay.
I'm not going to typecast anyone.
Thank you.
Quite possibly.
Moving right along. All right. So there's an energy, that may be some cultural connections to that energy. All right. What about the energy here? Relative to that?
That's more sustainable.
More sustainable. Okay. It's like describe it as like no boundaries, energy, yet I'm relaxed. You know, it's an interesting combination of excitement, but also unbounded, creative, being able to make new things that might add value and exploration and all that kind of fun stuff.
The best side always generates more energy. That's always going to be sapping.
Doesn't it? It sucks it out right out, doesn't it? So, and this time, it's very different, and it's connected to how we perform in the moment, right? And that's what we're talking about, frame of mind, right? So if I'm in this frame of mind, I'm much more likely to, those skills and talents I've got are less likely to play out to the level they could. But I'm in this frame of mind, in fact, not only may they play out to the level I've got them, given the ability to create, I can create new levels. Learning, growth, development, right? Very different mindset. Has a very different impact. To put myself in the best position to make the decisions we were talking about before, to figure out plans and to design, et cetera, that's a very different space than that. So the question is, eventually we'll answer in a minute, is what causes us to go that way and what causes us to go that way? Because they're both reality. In fact, you ever been in a situation where we start out this way and all of a sudden we end up over here for a little while, bang, ran into a wall on that one. And all of a sudden, but then we start working on it, problem solving, and then all of a sudden maybe we start heading back in this direction. Even the same project, we can experience that. Right? So they're not static, they're quite dynamic. The question is, how do I help ensure I can stay in this more frequently than that? Okay? That's one of the challenges we have. And as a leader, our job is to help those that follow us take on that. That's the frame of reference we're talking about right now, is what can I do as a leader to help those following me take that on? Yeah, I need it too, but how do I help my followers take that on? That's what we're here to talk about. When you boil it down, and you've, I'm sure, boiled this down in your own worlds and your own work as well, it boils down to these three things. There are three main messages we're going to be focusing on today. This is one of them, like 3 peaks. You have a race, I think, with 3 peaks in England? Yeah. Okay.
This is peak one.
This is peak 1 right here. The first peak in the race is when you boil it down. If you take these lists and you look at all the books and you know this from, I think, your own work as well, it boils down to this, and we try to build it as a memory tool. When the mind is positive, present, process-oriented, it's more likely to function at its best. Boom. Okay? Positive, present, process. Learn, perform, grow, etc. So you can unpack positive, confident, all those kinds of things. In the moment, focused on now, creating, being creative process, right? So let's unpack that for a minute. And you notice, I think from your world, tell me if it's different, but when someone's positive, what we mean by that is conviction, confidence, things like that, belief that they'll prevail, optimism, all those fun things. Not always having fun, but being positive that it will work out. All right? Is there a lot of struggle sometimes for learning and growth, and it's not always, it can be a little bit of frustration built into that? But I'm positive I will overcome. That's what we mean by positive, and dwelling on the positive. Present. Present is about tuned into the moment. As you know, I'm right here, I'm right now, right? Puts me in the best position to pay attention to what's going on around me, and the information, the data that I'm collecting through my eyes, my ears, my heart, my intuition, to use that information to make the best decisions possible for how I engage in the task. If I'm not attending to this, I can't use what's around me to make good decisions, right? It's that kind of thing. So I'm in the moment, I use what's in the moment and available to me, which means I'm fully engrossed, all those kinds of things. And those two are probably the more classically known things that are familiar with it. We just wanted to make sure that process is also talked about. And it's a process orientation where the journey is what the focus of attention is on. It's the pathway, it's the approach, it's the execution, right? That's where my attention is. That's what I can control. I can control process much more effectively than I can control outcome, right? And that's from a leadership perspective as well as a sports perspective, right? And that's what we're focused on. That's what we want our followers focused on, okay? So positive present process. On the process side, you know this, and this works for leadership as well as it does for athletes and others, right? It's the process that actually delivers the results. So if I attend to that which will give me or increase the likelihood I will get what I want, I increase the likelihood of getting it, and that's execution. So if my mindset has a process orientation to it, I'm in a much better position. The challenge is the mind can only think about one thing at a time, right? That idea of multitasking, it's kind of a myth, right? So I focus on one thing at a time. It's either content or process, outcome or process. If I go to outcome and I stay there too long, I don't pay attention to process, execution, therefore I don't execute well to actually get what I want. So focus on that which will give us what you want, and we need our followers doing that. If they're worried about the future, it means they can't be now focused on how they're going to get to the future, because they're worried about the future. All right, so that's process. Any questions on that? 3 Ps, positive present process, straightforward, that's the target? Go.
I agree, it is straightforward, I like it. I just want to know if you've tested it in an objective measures, other than, obviously, you've tried it out and it's worked, and yeah, I just wonder if we're going to try and persuade a few people to let go of the outcomes and focus on the 3 Ps, and they go, what's the proof? Just, have you been able to test it?
The proof right now is it's research that's been done in the literature. I mean, we have our own examples of it. Our profession for 30 years in creativity and problem solving has all been process orientation. So we have history of examples of it, but experimental data, do you know of experimental data that looks at?
That's one of the things that's
It's
on
a
the
big,
radar.
great question to get the empirical evidence.
From the lit, we've got all our anecdotes and
Yeah.
tried it out in music and horse riding and tennis,
Yeah.
but not, you couldn't lean on a study as far as we know.
Yeah.
Right now. It's kind of on the radar.
Yeah. We can do it for just process because we have impact research like crazy about the effects that when you focus on process in problem solving in organizational contexts, typically the evidence is you get twice the work done in half the time with at least twice the productivity. In research, it's 400% improvement in product development. I mean, these numbers are huge for the process piece in particular.
70 years worth of research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know from research, if you get into like Jim Lair's research for sports psychology in the US, there's a lot of folks that have done some of the work on the positive and the present orientation, the flow state. And that's research that's more experiential research as opposed to empirical, but it'd be a great question to get some empirical data on that. All right, so that's the 3 Ps. Said why process.
If it's
Please.
I mean, I'm not trying to sort of sell or anything, but if there's an opportunity opportunity that, I don't know, something between UK Sport, EIS, whatever, to do that, maybe with our university, that maybe, I don't know, I'm just putting it out there as
Yeah.
possible.
Yep.
Maybe, it would help.
It'd be
It may
phenomenal.
not be the right university, I don't
Yeah.
know who to work with, I don't know a lot of
Yeah.
universities, but just,
Yeah. Right now it's a synthesis, but if you could get it, it'd be very exciting. And what everything's pointing to is learning and growth and the ability to apply my expertise when I'm positive present process. That's the challenge we have as leaders. That's one of the most important parts of our job, is to put our followers in that mind frame so they can perform at their best. Okay? That's what we're talking about. And the question is, how do we help them? You know, that whole phrase about engaging in the activity is the joy, you know, the love of the journey, all those kinds of things. That's what we want people to be, where they love the journey. It's its own reward. So how do you get there? So, question, again, from your personal experience. What are
just the link
Yeah.
on that back.
Yeah.
So we know, for example, from problem solving inventing, that inventors normally invent because they love inventing.
Yeah.
Everyone always asks us about post-it notes who can't be clients of ours, and they kind of, you know, what did Art Fry get from this? Well, he didn't do it for any money. He just did it because he just loves figuring out. He had a problem with his own to fix with some music, and we wanted some stuff, so he just invented these, frankly, for himself.
Yeah. Then he thought, this is a great idea. I wonder if we could. It took him 7 years of internal persuading to get Post-its to be enough support to actually turn it into a product for the company.
Right.
There was something in there about incubation as well. So sorry, apparently it came with the idea. It took that long to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
So it was a great idea, but they couldn't translate it into the right type of glue to stick in the right way to
Right.
tear off from somewhere else and fall down and stuff like that.
And that was the glue that was in, see, 3M had a failed database, right? That whole thing? The glue that was in the database was a failed project from another situation.
Yeah.
Failed over there, succeeded where he was.
Art Fry was in the team, but the guy that failed, Spencer Silver, he says, "Hey guys, we made this glue that didn't work.
Yeah. What can we do with it?
What do we
You
do
know,
with it? What can we do with it?"
that kind of stuff.
But I don't know. Do we do that?
But I think there's something in there around, sometimes you have great ideas, but they come along at the wrong time.
Bingo.
Or the
Yes.
way that you present them. So I'm not always the most eloquent person, or sometimes I talk too much, so I'm not heard. So I might have a good idea, but it's just not heard by somebody else. So
Right.
we need like these incubator pots for them to sit, for somebody else to go and look at them and
Yeah,
go,
that's all.
actually,
Yeah.
maybe we'll try that again, or bring that back out, or rather than kind of be dismissed.
Spencer
Absolutely.
Silver was trying to make some glue for DuPont, and it didn't work. But the great thing is they shout about it, that this glue didn't work here, but Art Fry kind of sat there and he was
Successful
serious.
attempt at something
Yeah.
first that might lead. It's like you have to have the first idea, which might be not the right one, that will lead to the right one. But
You
if you
got
have
it,
the first one and celebrate, you've had that idea, then
Yeah. Failure is okay over here.
Yeah.
It's a learning opportunity.
or is it failure is the first step in the solution.
Bingo.
rather than-
Yeah. We learn, absolutely. It's a different mindset when it happens and you're over there.
You've wasted time. You're doing that.
Right? Yeah. Hide it, bury it, make sure no one sees it, right?
Yeah.
If they did that at 3M, Post-its never would have showed up. So yeah, it's a very different.
Imagine my child out there.
I know, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't be proud of my daughter's all over.
But going back to what John was saying earlier though, when we're talking about leadership, leaders, they make decisions and they do it. And they take the data, as you've just been saying there, see when I look at this, I look at data and KPIs and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still do that report again.